Well, operating from a task list every single day keeps you in a perpetual state of decision fatigue. So you are keeping yourself perpetually stuck in time debt because you're building something completely unrealistic. I always tell people a task list is not the same thing as a plan. That personal time is the third thing that goes on your calendar each week. It's not the last. Because if you say, I'll take the leftover time, you will never have.
Yeah. Welcome to the Feel Good Club podcast. This is the place where ambitious working moms learn how to elevate their well-being, increase success in all areas, and create a positive, aligned life. Whether you're here to hear expert interviews or inspiring talks, this is your space to learn and grow. I'm Tia Graham, keynote and TED speaker, best-selling author, and founder of the Feel Good Club community for high-achieving moms. I am an expert in the science of happiness. This show is here to help you feel grounded, happier, and connected to yourself and others. I know you are going to love it. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in. Hi, Megan. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I am so excited to be here.
So tell the listener a little bit about yourself, your background, and your expertise now.
Yeah, so I currently serve today as a time management and productivity expert for women. This is not something I had made a life plan out of in third grade when someone asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? This was not my answer. But I think like a lot of business owners, I fell into building this company out of a need for myself. So my background was actually in mathematics, studied math in college and landed in the tech world for over 20 years. Where I served as what was called a software quality architect, which is just another way of saying I'm a really huge nerd. I geek out on processes, systems, optimizations. Over the course of my career, gathered a bunch of nerdy certifications along the way. And at the end of the day, my goal was to go into typically software teams that were a bit chaotic, as a lot of software organizations are, and revamp all of their processes to get things done with higher quality and better efficiencies. So I'd always like to say I like to come into chaotic organizations and build very harmonious systems for them that allow them to do what they do the best way possible. And I met my husband later in life. We went through a fertility journey, so we started a family even later, and found myself one very pivotal day. I still wish I could remember who this woman was, but I was at the park on a Friday afternoon. My daughter was around 2.5, and I was pushing her on the swings. That was the one thing she would do at the park, was get on the swings. And the mom next to me was chatting and randomly in conversation just asked, "So what do you do for fun?" And I realized I didn't have an answer. And it wasn't that being at the park with my child at Friday afternoon wasn't enjoyable, but I just couldn't remember the last time I'd ever done something just for me, for fun. And I'm so glad she asked, because it set me on, after I had my breakdown about not being able to answer the question, it kind of set me on after I got over that, set me on a journey to be like, well, what am I going to, how did I get here? And then more importantly, how do I get out of here? And it dawned on me, like, this is what you do for a living, Megan. You go in to organizations that have a lot of things they're trying to juggle and do it well, and you redefine how they're going to get to their end goal the easiest way possible. So I threw out my beloved Franklin Covey planning system of over 20 years, and I got to work. I took myself on as my own client of saying, okay, here's everything we're navigating. How can we create a way to plan and manage my own time in life that allows me to always be able to answer the question, what do I do for fun? Because the bottom line was I was missing on my calendar. My entire calendar was in service to every role that I played, whether it was motherhood or employee or wife or daughter or sister. So I ended up kind of defining what is now known as the TOP framework, which stands for Time Management, Organization, and Productivity. Was speaking at some local tech conferences for women, and women started asking, like, how are you juggling it all? So I started showing bits and pieces of this planning system, and a group of women asked if I would kind of work with them privately to teach this to them. So I said, well, sure, no guarantee it's going to, I've built this for myself. Let me see if I can get this into a generic enough framework. And I'm so glad those women asked. After working with them for 3 months, I was like, this is it. This is my calling. So left the corporate world and ended up building what is now known as the Pink Bee. And I'm just on a mission to bring harmony into homes all over the world, supporting women in that space.
Oh my goodness, such a great story. And of course, what works for us and whatever we can do to make our lives more organized or increase our well-being. And there's so many working moms listening going, yeah, I definitely could use some more fun, some more joy, me time.
Yeah.
And everyone is really feeling time poor, especially with young kids.
100%.
Yes, yes. So, right before we hit record, we were talking about daily task lists and
Yes.
to-do lists. And I know working mom listening may keep lists on their phone, may have paper lists, may use Asana, may have shared calendar. And immediately when you said that, I thought, well, there's three big ones. Kids, actually, I'm going to think of four. Kids, home, personal, work.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot on all of those.
Yep. And
And
then if you
you,
have multiple kids, some people have the
yeah,
list per kid, right? As
totally. I
well.
mean,
So
color
yeah.
coded count. Exactly. Yes. And each kid has their own needs and schedule and everything. And you said something to me that really piqued my interest. You said, the daily task list is not the right way to go.
Yeah.
So just let's just start off by talking about that.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So for anyone listening, if you're like, that's it, I'm out, because you're like, this woman's telling me to break up with my task list, I promise I will offer what I know to be a much better solution. I think it's important to understand why we even do this daily task list, right? This goes back to the fundamentals of all of the very traditional, what I call masculine time management and planning systems that are out there. And when you go back in time and look at where most of these frameworks, like what years we were in when these were being developed, for most of them, this was before even email existed. So we're taking these traditional suggestions and systems that were built by men for men in corporate settings pre-technical revolution. And we're, as women, in the world we live in today with technology, with the fact that we're now equally working, equally providing, while still being primary caregivers, are still trying to implement systems built 30 some years ago. It's a complete disconnect. And at the foundation of a lot of those systems, I'm sure everyone, if you've Googled, like, how can I get out of overwhelm? You will find some form of a message saying, wake up in the morning, do your brain dump, right? Write everything down that you're thinking about for the day. Then someone magically said, identify the top three. Someone said that one day. I still have yet to find out who founded that. And then everyone jumped on that. So we're supposed to circle the top three and then, quote, do those first and then get everything else done. And so if you've been doing that, don't blame yourself. It's what 99% of people are telling you to do. But when we do that, there are three fundamental things that are happening that are keeping us perpetually overwhelmed. And some actually have to do with the nuances of the male and the female brain is different. Mm-hmm. And so that task list serves us differently than it serves our male counterparts. So the first reason why this task list just keeps us in perpetual overwhelm is probably 99.9% of the time, it would be physically impossible, mathematically impossible for you to get everything done on that list for the day.
Yes.
Right? Because you're probably coming up with 12 hours worth of things, but you only have 5.5 available hours
and
during
you get
the day.
Interrupted. There's things that pop up too.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not going, okay, well, let me make the task list. And now let me write down how long each one of these takes. And now let me see if it's possible. We're not going that extra mile. So we're setting ourselves up to get in what I call time debt, right? Where you go to bed at night, not everything from the list is checked off. So you feel guilty, right? I didn't do enough. You wake up the next morning already in time debt from the things you didn't check off yesterday. You rewrite those onto today's, and then you add more. So you are keeping yourself perpetually stuck in time debt because you're building something completely unrealistic with the task list.
And
now,
so it's actual time debt and the belief in thinking that you're in time debt.
Yeah. Today I'll catch up, right? Today I'll just do it better, or I'll work harder, or I'll, name the thing that's going to fix today. It's not going to fix today. So then the guilt, of course, compounds with that as well. And so we're just stuck in this vicious cycle of truly never getting caught up.
So I'll say self-criticism.
Oh, 100%. Right? Because somebody out there on social media is making you believe that they're getting theirs checked off, so, even though they're probably not either. So we're stuck in that vicious cycle. And it's important to know your reason for doing this task list is a good one. It's because you're not wanting to forget stuff, right?
Right.
But then what's happening as we're building this task list is there's things on there that really don't even need to be today, right? But you had the thing flashed in your brain. Oh yeah, I've got to get that form before summer camp. You don't need the form for 4 more weeks, but you don't want to forget. So you're putting it on your list, and you're probably rewriting it 26 times before it's the 2 days before camp. And now you're actually going to get the form, which means for 26 days, you have felt like you failed because you didn't check that thing off your list when it never needed to be there in the first place. But we don't have a system in place for where to put those things. So we just dump them on to today's task list. Now, the second thing that happens with this is really interesting. And I'm sure any woman listening can relate to, it's 5 o'clock at night. The family is deciding what to do for dinner. They're like, let's just go out to dinner because nobody feels like cooking. And then everyone looks to mom and goes, where do you want to go? And all you're thinking is, for the love of God, would someone else just please decide, right? Like, I don't care. I cannot make another decision. Well, operating from a task list every single day keeps you in a perpetual state of decision fatigue. And here's what's happening in our brain. When we wake up every morning, we wake up with a set capacity, if you will, for really good decision-making skills. Kind of think of it like your gas tank. You wake up with that, and you really can't refill it midday. When it's empty for the day, the only way that gets refilled is with restorative sleep. So when you're done, you're done. So if I were standing in front of you, Tia, and holding like an apple or an orange and said, here, which piece of fruit do you want? It'd be a pretty easy decision for you to make. There's 2 things, you can see them. You'll be like, great, I'll take the orange. Great. Now, if I stood in front of you with a basket of 19 different pieces of fruit and said, what piece of fruit do you want? That's going to take you some time, right? You're going to be looking at all the, I don't know, do I want this? Do I want that? Then that's making a much bigger decision, and it's going to pull a lot more of that decision-making capacity out of your brain for the day than deciding between the apple and the orange. Well, if you build your task list for the day, that could easily have 19 things on it. I mean, that's not unrealistic for any woman if they combined everything with their life.
Yeah.
As soon as you've made the list, what's the first thing that you do? You go look at it to say, what should I do first? And you're looking at 19 things.
And you're overwhelmed just looking at the
And
list.
you're overwhelmed at that, right? And that's a massive decision. So you do exactly what your brain is designed to do, because now you're overwhelmed, which means you're in that fight, flight, or freeze state. That just as if, a rabid dog walked in your office or a wolf came at you, right? Same chemical reaction is going on. Well, then your brain's job is to go, I need to feel good. Like, I need a dopamine hit. Well, in the form of looking at that long task list, it's like, how can I get the fastest check mark?
Where's the low-hanging fruit?
Lowest hit, no pun intended with the fruit. 99% of the time, that's probably the least important thing on your list, right? It's the easiest, quickest win, but your brain's like, I need a check mark. So you get the check mark, and now what are you doing? You're going back to the list, now with 18 things on it. Again, massive decision that you're having to make now, what to do next. And we're doing this every single time we go back and look. We're making those micro decisions all day long. This is why, as the day goes on, your decision-making skills just get less and less and less, good, if you will. Mm-hmm. It's why, at 9 a.m, I can avoid the bag of Doritos, but at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not that I don't have willpower. It's that part of my brain is done for the day. It's like, nope, that looks good. That's what I'm going to go do. So we stay in this perpetual midday through the rest of the night decision fatigue, which makes us irritable. Anytime someone asks us a question, we're annoyed, right? Because we're tapped out. I have no more decision-making capacity.
Let's take a quick pause for something that can really support you. If you constantly question if you are good enough as a working mom and desperately want to feel happier, I'd love to invite you to a complimentary discovery call with me. In 45 minutes, we'll get clear on what is out of alignment, what you want your days to feel like, and 2 to 3 simple changes you can make immediately to feel calmer and more confident. It's completely free, and it's a chance for us to connect and see if the Feel Good Club for working moms or one-on-one coaching might support you. To grab a spot, go to tiagraham.com/discovery call. That's tiagraham.com/discovery call, and pick a time that works for you.
And then the third kind of subtle thing that happens tied to that lowest hanging fruit, it prevents us from working oftentimes on those bigger projects or long-term goals. Because those are the ones that the things that actually move the needle. Because we're looking at like, oh, well, gee, I'm working on launching that podcast. Well, I'm not going to do that's not where I'm going to start because I'm anxious and overwhelmed looking at 19 things and I need a check mark. That's not how I'm going to get it. So we stay in time debt. We keep hitting decision fatigue every day. And then we get further and further away from progress on our goals because we're stuck in this daily to-do list mode. And then the guilt, the everything else that piles on because we're not checking it off just keeps going day after day. Now, I have met I believe the superhuman people out there that can function on 3 hours of sleep a night, right? And they can power through it. But that's not sustainable, nor is that realistic for the vast majority of people.
And we need sleep for happiness. That's one of the number one pillars.
And sleep is my favorite.
Yes.
And people always, when they see, what we do here at the company, I'm like, I need you to understand, like, I get a minimum of 8 hours of sleep a night, more on the weekend. I only work 4.5 hours a day, less in the summer, because I pretty much work when my daughter's at school. And yet we've built a massive 7-figure annual run rate business in very, very small pockets of time. And we do this because of how we've shifted our planning system. So this is why when I was like, well, if I'm not operating off the to-do list, right, my task list, what am I doing? I'll always tell people a task list is not the same thing as a plan. So this is where the foundation of teaching women how to create not daily, but weekly and then monthly plans where we're sitting down once. I typically, depends. I'll do mine either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday for the upcoming week. It's not like you got to pick the one time that you do. You just got to do it prior to the upcoming week. But it is a systematic. I first start teaching people the 5-step basic weekly planning process. And once you get comfortable with that, then you learn the 10-step. And before you think, Megan, I don't have time for this, I do it in 15 minutes or less every week. But it's where essentially you're looking at all of the things competing for your time in the upcoming week across all the roles that you play: work, motherhood, home life, caregiving, all of it.
Take care of yourself.
And yourself. You are part of that process. And you are putting together your plan with specific dates and times for how am I going to navigate this week. And then one of the key things that we learn is this concept of planning for uncertainty, where we're actually building in space to absorb the phone call that comes at 10 a.m. from the school because the kid is, all life that's going to happen. Building a plan that allows you to, as the week unfolds, move and shift the pieces around, almost like a game of Tetris,
so there's
if you will.
There's some buffer in there that you're putting
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you say buffer. People will use like white space or buffer time a lot. They're like, well, just add buffer time.
Yeah, I hear white space a lot.
Yeah, there's 3 fundamental kind of differences around, I guess, what I would consider white space. Because people always say, Megan, I'm leaving white space on my calendar, but I'm still not getting stuff done. Well, what they don't realize is that that one thing of white space is actually competing for lots of different things. So I like to separate them out. So when I talk about planning for uncertainty,
Yeah.
what I mean for that is we all have, on average, and everyone's is uniquely different, an amount of tasks or things that are going to come up during the week that have to be handled each week. And it's different for everybody. And so I guide people through, you actually audit yourself for 2 weeks each day. Okay, how much of my time this day had to go to things I did not know was going to happen at the start of the week, right? And through different seasons of life, it will look different. So like when I was in corporate running a support team, I knew I'd have 90 minutes of work every day for emergency support situations. I wouldn't know when they were going to hit, but I knew 90 minutes of my calendar had to be protected every day to absorb those. If I booked a day solid, then I'd be staying at work till 10 o'clock at night to handle this, right? So in that stage of life, I had pockets of time every day for that. I know it's coming, but I don't know what it is.
Right.
Whereas for the last couple years, I've split mine up to where I have about 4 work hours a week of things that I know are going to land in my inbox that have to be dealt with. But I just protect that randomly. Like I may just protect 2 hours on a Tuesday and, protect an hour or 2 on a Thursday. So it's not white space. It's me pre-locking in. I know 4 hours of tasks are coming in. You're
planning for it.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, it's this actual planning for uncertainty versus me going, all right, after this call, I have a 30-minute break before my next one. I'm just leaving that white space.
And then just like, let me look at the list of 19 things.
Well, I don't even have the list of 19 things because they're all built into the plan.
Right. But I'm saying if you're not doing it that way.
Yeah, exactly. So now it's like, hey, get up, walk, go to the bathroom. How many times do we hold it in for 4 hours because we don't, we feel like we can't, right? So when there's actual white space on my calendar, it's truly, I don't have to do anything right now. I can breathe. I can go walk outside. I can just stare at my Christmas tree if I like, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Versus the buffer time is something different where maybe you're planning to work on a project and you're not sure how long it might take. I think I can get it done in an hour, but I'm going to protect 90 minutes on my calendar in case I need more time than that.
Right. And I find that a lot of projects and deep work, we underestimate the amount of time.
100%.
Thinking it's not, it's execution. And I'm also a huge proponent, and I tell all the my clients and members of the Feel Good Club to also plan for your happiness and your well-being. So you said sleep, which I love, exercise, date nights, girlfriend time, nature.
Something just for you. Like one thing that goes on my calendar every day, which people think is crazy. I had always wanted to learn how to play the cello. Like I had just my whole life wanted to learn how to play the cello. Well, a couple years ago, I started taking cello lessons. So I have 30 minutes blocked on my calendar every day to go practice my cello. Like that's just for me. I have no end game. I'm not, I'm not joining an orchestra or anything like that. But that's that when someone goes, hey, what do you do for fun? I could say, I'm learning how to play the cello. Like it's really fun and exciting. And that gets the same level of appointment on my calendar as everything else. It's not when I have the time tomorrow.
Not back burner.
No, it's not when everything else is done. Oftentimes it's in the middle of my workday because that's when it works best for me. So I'm getting up from my desk and I'm going and doing that for 30, 40 minutes. And then I'm coming back down to my desk again. And this is why actually that personal time is the third thing that goes on your calendar each week. It's not the last, because if you say, I'll take the leftover time, you will never have leftover time.
Yeah. And then you're not going to be, and you're going to be more irritable. You're going to be more stressful, resentful, etc. I love this so much. I love the 2-week audit. Something that my husband and I do is actually on Fridays, we now do it every other week. We do a 2-week planning session together. So
we do that every Sunday.
You do that on Sundays. Yeah. I find we're getting an
argument. And we bring our daughter into it as well.
Okay.
Yeah. She's 15. Things, and now if he and I are planning something out in the future that doesn't, and we'll do that separately, but we use, I really love the skylight calendar. I'm sure a lot of moms have heard of that. So we have that set up in our kitchen. I have very strong feelings on what I believe belongs on those calendars versus not. I see a lot of families putting way too much stuff on there, which is why no one's looking at it anymore because it's too crowded. So what shows up on our Skylight calendar is just things that involve multiple members of our family that require some kind of coordination. So for example, me recording this podcast with you is not on the Skylight calendar. Nobody needs to, like, that doesn't impact anybody in my family. My husband's work call later today is not on the Skylight calendar. Like, I don't need to know about it. It's not changing my day. It's not changing my daughter's day. It's 100% his to manage on his own. That's on his calendar.
Right.
So what's on our Skylight calendar, and this is what we're kind of reviewing as a family each week, is like my daughter's school doesn't have busing. So one of us has to, and it's a little over an hour round trip each way. So there's school drop off, there's school pickup every day. That's on the calendar, color coded with who's doing the driving. So we're discussing that on Sunday. Okay, who's doing Tuesday afternoon? Then we swap the color outs, and our daughter can, if she comes, who's picking me up from school day? It's on the calendar. Like, I'm not answering those questions. I will not be the COO for the household.
Right.
And then if there's something that's unusual, so for instance, this week I'm going to be out one evening at a board meeting. That's on the Skylight calendar because that's not the norm.
Right.
So the family can see, oh, mom's gone Wednesday night, she'll be out in the evening. So it's just the things that are relevant to more than one person and or out of the ordinary that everyone would be like, oh yeah, okay, that now I know why mom's not here.
Right.
So it's and it's all color coordinated, but because it's not so cluttered with all the stuff, it's very clean and easy for people to see because they're looking for their color and there's not too much in there.
I love such good advice.
And then our dinner is at the top too. So when we sit down on Sunday, we're like, okay, what dinners are we doing this week? And those all get plugged in. So no, I am not responsible for answering the question, what's for dinner tonight?
Oh my gosh, so great. Oh my goodness. So Megan, where you've shared so much. I know that you've given me some specific shifts that I can make in terms of planning, and really, where you start off was that understanding decision fatigue and how it, gets worse during the day. And so just understanding how our brain works and taking the time to plan more, be more proactive, and then putting in the priorities, whether it's the priority to play cello, or for me, I go for a midday hike, or prioritizing date night, or, a big work project. So all of it was so valuable. And, and I love what you said about the Skylight calendar too. Just thinking about it like that is really good. So for everyone listening who wants to find you, learn more about you, where should they go?
Well, obviously, if you're a podcast listener, I do have a podcast, Work-Life Harmony. Tia's been a guest on that show. So that's on all the podcast players. But I always encourage people, I think a great place if you're interested in learning a little bit more about this planning framework that I teach. I've actually got an app out in the App Store and Google Play. It's just called The Pink Bee, all one word. And if you download the app, there's 2 free mini courses in there, just available for everyone. And I really do break down what does the top framework look like, what are the 4 planning levels. And it's just a way for you to get a feel for what this looks like in real life. And I always tell people it's a way for you to kind of get a flavor of, does the way I teach even resonate with you, right? Because everybody learns in different ways. Yeah. So that's typically where I send people off. There's no strings attached, just some really good training content out there for you to go check out.
Perfect. Oh, love it. The 2 free mini courses. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Feel Good Club
My
show.
Pleasure.
And look forward to talking to you soon.
Same.
Thank you for joining me on the Feel Good Club show. I hope today's episode left you feeling inspired and equipped to take on your day with confidence, self-love, and joy. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow ambitious working moms. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. We're all here to support each other in feeling good and living our best lives. Until next time, take care and be hopeful. And remember, prioritize your happiness.